Dear friends, greetings and welcome to our new moon meeting, Meditation for the Common Good. Today we continue our work on the topic that we started during the last full moon, Cancer cycle full moon. The topic, love from conflict to harmony, building a lighted house. We've been holding this topic in our focus for the last 2 weeks, sharing our impressions and meditating on seeds that could grow, becoming thought forms that would guide humanity and its through current crisis, evolutionary crisis of awakening the soul. So let us begin our work today. And I invite Birgit to sound the purpose of statement.
So, our purpose is to magnetize the ideas of common good, freedom, and brotherhood as the highest values of humanity at this time. We recognize and cherish diversity of perspectives in our group, creating a space capable of invoking, receiving, interpreting, and radiating a higher synthetic wisdom. We serve as an Ashramic outpost, building a group bridge of Buddhic energy. We evoke the soul of humanity. We envision humanity as being the seed that is flowering. We prepare the way for the reappearance of the coming one. And over to you, Tracy.
Thank you, Brigitte. Thank you, everyone. As we begin our focus today in this new moon meditation, the naming circle unites our hearts across distance as we begin our alignment and bring ourselves fully into our group work. By uniting our hearts in this way, we begin naturally to work telepathically through our group mind. The key to this telepathic work is in its etheric alignment, which creates the group field and allows it to become both a receiving and transmitting agent for higher ideas and energies. We will begin by calling our names into the circle, starting with our organizers. And as your name is called, please unmute yourself, say your name, and where you are calling in from. For example, Tracy Arbor, calling in from Novi, Michigan, USA. And as we go through this, let us turn our attention to our hearts and the heart center of the group gathered today, as each one of us calls ourselves into this circle. Alexander.
Hi again, it's Alexander Ilchuk, and I'm calling in from Brooklyn, New York, in the United States.
Welcome. Brigitte.
Hello, Birgitte Rasmussen, calling in from Slagelse in Denmark.
Welcome. Katja.
Hi, Makasa Kaufman, calling from Colorado Mountains, USA.
Welcome. Andrea.
Hello, everyone. This is Andrea Russ, and I'm calling from Fishers Island, New York today.
Welcome. Jillian.
Hello all, Gillian Douglas from Norfolk, UK.
Welcome. Judy.
Hello, everyone. Judy Harrison from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, USA.
Welcome. Kiki.
Hello, Kiki Bill, calling in from an Amtrak train between Norfolk, Virginia and Washington, D.C., USA.
Welcome. Paul.
This is Paul and Jenny Gerard from the southeast coast of Florida in the United States.
Welcome to you both. Robin.
Hi, this is Robin Flatley coming into you from Brattleboro, Vermont in the United States.
Welcome. Thank you, everyone. Now that we are linked together as a group, let us share a few moments in silence to align, forming a triangle between Shambhala, the hierarchy, and humanity. May our efforts be of the highest vibration in selfless service for our purpose. Over to you, Alexander.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, friends. So we are now opening our floor to continue sharing our impressions on the topic in our focus. And on the screen, you can see questions that were offered for us for meditation at the full moon time. These questions guide us in and structuring our process of reflection and sharing. And I also invite us to check the community impressions board. You can see the link now in the chat. The board is a place where we can share our thoughts and any relevant quotes to the questions that we hold in our focus between the meetings. So I invite us to take another couple minutes of silence in the air, but to check the impressions or thoughts that were shared in the impressions board. So you can find the link in the chat. And when we will be ready, we can just start our sharing. If you would like to share, please just unmute yourself and let us allow time after each sharing that the impressions be received and resonated in our group center. So let us now open the floor for the sharing.
I guess I'll start because I was thinking about this and you know, to build the lighted house that we're talking about in our topic, from conflict to harmony. I was thinking actually about the theme for this cycle, which is cleaning the house of religion and politics. But I think the third aspect that should be added to that, or there should be a third aspect, not just cleaning the house of religion and politics, but cleaning our own house within ourselves. Because to build a lighted house, you need a solid foundation. And you would need to, I'm just metaphorically speaking, you know, like cleaning the ground that we stand on. Before you build anything, you clean the area up so it's nice and ready to be built upon. So, and that came to me a couple of times while I was thinking about this topic, was cleaning my own house. And that therefore, if it's a clean and ready to be built on, it becomes sacred. And you know, you can consecrate that land or that area where the home is going to be built. So that's all I wanted to add right now. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Tracy. I think that it absolutely starts in one's own home. And sometimes it feels as if that is a very small piece of such a larger whole. And yet, that is where it starts, because that is where we lead by example. And we take all that we know and have accumulated in knowledge and wisdom and love, and love with that and through that. And that love is done all the time in every part of the form. It is about the spiritualizing of matter and pouring love into that matter and recognizing the love that is in that, whether it's touching the trunk of a tree and being grateful and sending that energy into that spirit, or smiling at other human beings and interacting with other human beings as if they are the family that they are. It's extraordinary to me how often we can go into a crowd and strike up a conversation, and it's surprising to others that you have noticed them and have engaged with them. And it's amazing what that creates. I mean, that is that paying it forward, and learning that the person that's standing beside you is not to be feared, but is actually someone to love. It's sharing oneself and creating harmony through that generosity of spirit and that sharing of oneself with all of life. So thank you for that, because I think that is such a part of it, despite it seeming so tiny in its opportunity to really create change. And yet I think we all know that it isn't necessarily the biggest, but sometimes the smallest that creates that change.
And I'd like to add to that, because that was a very good point, Andrea. That once we do clean our own houses or house of religion politics, the only way to build a quote unquote lighted house is to only bring light into the house and not allow the darkness to come in or anything that isn't worthy of that lighted house. And as you were saying, it just reminded me about what you just said, the Cardinal Cross, which is what we're on right now with the cycle of cancer. And that is through quote unquote activity, the way we act, what we do, how we think, all of that. So thank you.
Following on from those points, I was thinking that being old now, I've had contact with older people, and in the olden days, it was you didn't lock your house, and everyone interacted within a community, and things were quite different from now. We've become very insular and keep ourselves to ourselves. And I think we're now going to have to start trying to work back to linking up with other people more and making more proper communities around. Thank you.
And I'm thinking about the rays of cancer, this energy of third ray and seventh as an attribute of third. And technically it's six, but through Neptune, but in reality there's the second aspecting by six, aspected by six. It's this enormous capacity to renew. Divine activity, which is driven by divine purpose and done with the divine methods. And we as humanity, we are somewhat captivated by the form. So we tend to stick with things that work. but life is ever changing, and so they stopped working. And for us, it's just one of the biggest challenges to bring that new and make a step towards that into our life. And look at the old methods as something that we're grateful to, but if they don't work anymore, we let them go. And it's just this enormous angelic presence that is holding us as we make those steps. Steiner has this image of the walk that's being supported, that we walk on the wings of the sixth wing angels, supported. And that is an important part of our capacity to love, to trust, that strength that's supporting us, the soul that is guiding us, the group soul, group intuition, and group honor, the oneness, the impulse for the group being to exist. Over.
Hi. So I'm inspired to look at the lighted house as the form that holds me, my body, my form. That is my house. And my house has areas that aren't lighted. And that when the light gets shown on that area of darkness, I see parts of myself that I could never have seen before. And what do? I don't shove them into a box. I don't turn out the light. I actually look at it, however uncomfortable that viewing is, and say, okay, so I don't like this, but this is part of me and the way I have been in the past. And I see why I have had this darkness, and I see why it needs the light. And so I form a connection to an old way of being. I don't shun it. I don't shame it. I don't blame it. I don't put it into someone else and then see it by reflection. I take it into myself, and I know that now that I can see it, I won't necessarily have to be it. I can be somebody new and different out of choice. So I kind of feel like the harmonizing process is to incorporate and heal the wounded areas, heal the areas that I have taken from my childhood and brought forward into my old age. And I think it is all for me and not against me. So I'm thankful for you all to listen to what I had to say, and thank you.
Thank you, Robin. It's interesting because as you were speaking and sharing that, I took it into a more expanded viewpoint and recognized that so much of that is about forgiveness. And so much about forgiveness is really about a true understanding. And we can take that same forgiving understanding and look at our religious and our political systems that are so ingrained with the old, and recognize almost, with that Cancerian mother's heart that even as we call forth the new, we need to be very patient in the same way as we would be with watching a child develop and change and grow up. And we look at our religion, our religious institutions, we look at our political institutions with that same loving understanding, instead of the fear and the hatred and the disharmony that it wants to bring forth in all of us, but to recognize that this is a process, that this is an evolution, and in that evolution, it may take some time and some collective understanding to get to a point where we really can harmoniously embrace all of the ideas and ideals. There's another part that knows that it could happen instantly. And yet I think it is really that recognizing the new is happening slowly and surely, and that we are here to help that along. We use the word midwives a lot, but it really is. It really is standing beside with understanding and compassion and love, and becoming that so that others will also be able to become that. So it is that forgiveness and that real understanding, that understanding that doesn't have a right or wrong component to it. Just we stand right at that midway point in love.
I would like to piggyback a little bit on what Andrea said around patience, because I've been thinking about what is it like to stand in the midst of chaos. Because when conflict goes to harmony, it can happen instantly, but that's not necessarily the case in most instances. And that in between period, when systems are breaking down and new ones have not been built yet, can we stand in a place of light? Tracy said, with a lighted house, you got to make sure that you're bringing in light, not allowing fear to come in, looking at the meaning behind what's happening as we stand in the midst of chaos. So that we can support the balance that needs to come through so that harmony can be created. Because I see balance, even Libra, is that middle step, again on the cardinal cross, of going from conflict or disharmony, if you will, to build something lighted, but in the midst of the breakdown. That's the place which is the midway point. And I think that for me, I've been reflecting on what is, how can I stand strong? How can we stand strong? How can we support the change to harmony as chaos ensues? So it's just been a real reflecting point. Also looking at the energies and just knowing, for instance, that Pluto is going back to Cancer in September. Pluto is going back to Capricorn in September, and it will finally come out at the end of the election. So, there's another point of chaos. Can we stand strong as systems are challenged to change? So I think certainly we have to do our own inner work, but as part of the new group of world servers, how we stand and how we hold conflict so that harmony can arise is really important, and it's something to think about quite critically. Thank you.
Yes, and as you were talking, Judy, it's this point in between that is actually Libra. It's the point between Capricorn and Cancer, the line of Cancer, and it's the point where the directions of the energy changes and we start going upward. It starts going, the light goes upward and downward. So the light of Capricorn starts really informing the form, going into the form, starts informing. So if you think about it, in Capricorn we see the height. Cancer shows us how deep we can stand, how deep is the foundation of the house, that it will hold the light of Capricorn. And in the midst of a chaos, one needs, besides patience and trust, the vision to sustain, to support. Because the normal, I think, a typical, we don't make the choice. We run away from things that we don't like, and that's not making a choice. Making a choice is that you can go this way. In my understanding, is that there is a choice. You can go this way. You can go that way. But you choose the path towards the goal, but the goal is there. You realize what path will serve you best. Or sometimes we don't, I think, realize we're just, driven towards that path. There's a conscious choice and there's a circumstantial choice. But I think that the energy of choice is extremely palpable in Cancer. It's not there yet, but we are setting up the stage for that. We're going to Mad on Sea, where it will bring us. We incarnate. And I think that part of the esoteric work is to support those who are trying to balance, because I think that in the beginning of the political career, whatever it is, stage or statement, there's always this radically opposed views. Then, next step is that those views need to be balanced. This conflict needs to come to harmony. or we need to recognize the harmony that is framed by those opposing views. So the person, you know, or the group or the system at that point, goes into the mode of harmonizing, balancing, trying to find the right proportion. That's again Libra. The proportion, Libra, and also Gemini, but Gemini does that through love, which sees. But Libra does it through many processes at once. And our job, I think, is just to support those processes. Bring group consciousness to the service of those processes. And allowing your hierarchical and shambolic energies just to be radiated through us, through our group house.
Somehow this topic this month brings me back constantly to esoteric healing, to the loss of esoteric healing. As I was listening and continue reflecting on these questions, law 4 of esoteric healing came to mind, and I found it and I put it in the impressions board now. So I will just read it. But you can also see it's now pasted in the community board. Law 4. Disease, both physical and psychological, has its roots in the good, the beautiful, and the true. It is but a distorted reflection of divine possibilities. The thwarted soul, seeking full expression of some divine characteristic or inner spiritual reality, produces within the substance of its sheath a point of friction. Upon this point, the eyes of the personality are focused, and this leads to disease. The art of the healer is concerned with the lifting of the downward focused eyes into the soul, the healer within the form. The spiritual or third eye then directs the healing force, and all is well. It's interesting to think about any conflict as that, as a point of friction that emerges when there is a distorted flow of soul energy, or when the balance is distorted, and or when the evolutionary process pushes us forward, leaving behind what's being a working form for expression of soul life. But as we progress, that form is not working anymore, and the point of friction or conflict starts to emerge. And so if we look at and the conflicts that we observe in the world as that result of sole indication that there is things are out of balance. And stimulates us to make changes, to make next step, finding a new, more adequate form to express the soul energy. And it's interesting also to think about that our topic is that love for conflict to harmony, building the lighted house. The same in the, we know that the esoteric healer should use love, but not will. And so as we observe the unfolding conflicts and recognize conflicts as just indication of the need to move forward and hold love around that raising point of friction and not try to fix everything immediately, not to try to bring conflicting sides to peace, fixing the status quo, because in a way that's the opposite to what the healer should do. We shouldn't fix that old form that inhibits the soul life. We should hold the field of love that allows the transformation of the form, transformation of our ways of lives, if we talk about societal change and social conflict. And yeah, allow time for change, holding love around it.
Thank you, Alexander. That dovetails closely into some of the ponderings I've had lately, where I realize that I've always attached meaning to the fourth ray as being harmony through conflict, when in reality, a lot of times the Tibetan talks more about harmony and beauty. And that if we just refocus our thoughts on the beauty in the form, then we get away from focusing on the friction, on the conflict. Doesn't mean it's not there, but it just changes our focus to the beauty that's within the form and the beauty that's in that lighted house and those pairs of opposites and even the equilibrium that we're really leading up to in Libra, which is, that interlude where the duality is known and the life of the soul and the form is balanced. So, thank you.
Thank you for that, Paul, because I think that it made me think about what really is spiritualizing matter. And what that is seeing the beautiful in all forms, all forms. And the beautiful that's extraordinary in its uniqueness and its perfection and its individualization, whether that is a grain of sand or a leaf or a flower petal or an ant or a human being. That is spiritualizing matter. That is seeing all form, all matter, all substance as the beautiful Spirit of God that it truly is. So thank you for that.
And to dovetail on that, I'd like to say what Paul was saying and Andrea. It's all about intention and where we place our focus and our mind. And as Paul said, DK often talks more about harmony more than anything. And if we look at all the bad things all the time, then that tends to come into the forefront. Energy follows thought, quantum maxim. So putting our energy, our thought, our focus on just the light and the good and truth and beauty and all that, everything else will just fall into place, probably like dominoes. Thank you.
And what came to mind is that when we do that equilibrium, and when we look at this harmony or beauty, like when we look at the beauty, it doesn't have to be harmonious in the way of the structure. Like we'll look at a totally crooked tree, and there is so much beauty in it, and harmony of that balance. This Japanese art of, and the whole principle of art as the space and the empty space, the balance. So the balance is not necessarily symmetrical, yet we tend to look for symmetry as part of justice and balance. But it's only works when we balance things of the same nature. As soon as we start balancing things of a different nature, very different phenomena, principles, you name it, come to the balance. You need to balance void with something, you know? And they're of a different nature. So the whole idea of the soul guiding us in that regard, because it's not eye for an eye anymore. It's something that's a dynamic equilibrium, dynamic balance that moves forward. And that's liberating quality when the horizontal balance shifts into the vertical, and then the movement becomes part of that balance. The change, the choice and change.
I think sometimes we look through our physical eyes, and sometimes we look through the eye of the soul. And if we look through the eye of the soul, we'll be able to pick out the beautiful, which wouldn't be picked out by the eyes, the physical eyes.
Another thought that comes to me, it's in relation to the third question. We know that there are, I forgot how it's called, different state of matter, and it's like tamasic, tamas, rajas, sattva, and I don't remember well like the definitions of each of them, but tamasic is the most inert state of matter. It's tamas, and when any form that is in tamasic state of being would resist transformation and would resist change to allow more light to come within, like, and changing its aggregate state from tamasic to rajvic or sattvic, and therefore producing conflict. And so it's an interesting way to recognize nature of conflicts within us and recognize resistances that emerge when we have to do something. And it's quite tempting to be lazy on the couch watching TV, and instead you suddenly get this impulse, now I have to go maybe run in the park. And there's this conflict. Yes, like it's so cozy and so like on the couch, and yet the idea that how great it is and beneficent for whole body if I start moving. That's the conflict, and it's very simple, primitive example of that, but it's pretty much any impulse for transformation that comes for us brings that conflict.
Conflict hastens change, I think, because you'll tolerate things and you'll sort of think, well, it isn't really right, but, you know, I'll just carry on and put up with it. But when the conflict within you gets great enough, you change. And so I suppose one of the reasons for having conflict is to bring change.
I also see that conflict is almost like a gift. It's that point of friction that Alexander was talking about in healing, that the soul creates a point of friction to help you change is needed. And so if we can work with that, with patience and love and fortitude, perseverance.
In the flow of our meeting, we're getting close to the meditation. And so if you didn't have chance to share yet, please take this opportunity before we move to the next phase of our work today.
So I would like to do a little short sharing. I am picturing taking a square, which is four-sided, which is ray 4, and then cutting it on the diagonal. The dynamic slicing of the square creates 2 triangles, which is 2 third rays. And yeah, it would create friction, but also creates action, as we've mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. I'm happy to acknowledge the presence of new people who join us today in our circle. So I would like to just to share a couple things about the meditation that we will be doing, which somewhat different format than usual. This is the meditation where we work as a group, offering seeds that's been most resonant for us in this reflection today and the previous days leading to this meeting. And those seeds we will offer into the group chalice. So each of us will have a chance to voice those seeds. It might be one word, a phrase, or a sentence. Or maybe you will choose not to offer any seeds and verbalizing them. but you can subjectively bring that gift of your impressions into the group chalice. And then together we will meditate to magnetize those seeds in the group chalice, radiating them towards the mental field of humanity, with the idea that those seeds will become thought forms that will inspire and lead thinkers of the world. So let us now take another minute of silence, thinking about what are the most resonant ideas related to the topic love, from conflict to harmony, building a lighted house. And when and if we are ready to offer them to the group chalice, we be ready to do so when Katya will lead us in meditation today. So let us have a minute of recollecting our thoughts. Over to you, Katya.
Let us get united with the energies of light and love and will to good, and move into silence. Become aware of the stillness within. In line with the heart, center, ajna, and our soul. And from our soul, we link with the group heart, group mind, and the group soul. We raise our vibration and love that we hold within our group. And evoke the presence of higher vibrational beings who are here to guide and assist the energy and the thought forms will be magnetizing. We'll link with the hierarchy with our Rainbow Bridge group Antakarana. linking the heaven and the earth. The inner world of meaning and the subtle world of Brahma. We visualize before us the glowing beauty of our chalice, which our work together feeds and fuels. This golden chalice is made of numerous threads of lighted golden energy. Threads that we provided. And we focus together and recognize the group being motivated by the energies of Cancer. We know that everything has its purpose and nothing is permanent, always in a flux of continuous glowing change, morphing from the inflow and outflow of the energies which surround us at this time. Cancer. The oldest energy that we know. Energy of the cardinal cross. That supports the process of incarnation. Manifestation in the form. Brings the light in the form, the light of intuition, the light of life. This energy allow us to connect with our karma and seek the path of transformation. It's ruled by Moon, veiling Neptune. And Neptune. We build a lighted house and therein dwell. So standing in this inflow of energy of Cancer, let us reconnect with our topic. Love to conflict to harmony, building our lighted house. Let's reflect in silence on all that has been said. Now let's ask Hierarchy to guide and inspire us as we allow our thoughts to crystallize, grasping the essence of the purpose of our work throughout this cycle. And with love, we offer our efforts into the chalice, each one unmuting and speaking as you're moved to. We also honor those who chose not to speak, but who silently offer their formulated seeds into the chalice. After each vocalized offering, we will allow each seed to rest in silence for a while before the next one is offered. Let us now begin. May this energy bring the strength, the group intuition into the process of transforming of individual, group, and karma of humanity.
Out of the darkness comes the light. We are the lighted house.
Through synthesis and love, a new balance is achieved.
As we build an ever-expanding communal lighted house, let us illuminate our individual house through the lighted opportunity to transmute conflict into loving understanding.
Constant evolutionary movement enables change.
Ever onward and upward.
Being totally alive creates dynamic change.
In the lighted house of humanity, let harmony and love prevail.
Development of the instinct into intellect, into spiritual intuition, mass sensitivity, and service for the masses.
Let the light of the soul guides us as collectively as one humanity we seek to clean our communal house.
We focus on the purpose of our work now and the seeds collected. Allow them to vibrate and resonate within the embracing light of our group chalice. We magnetize them now with the light of Cancer. We invoke the will to good to empower our group intention. We lift our group chalice towards the hierarchy, offering as a group service to the plan. We turn towards humanity and offer our group service to support the collective evolution of humankind. Let us now close our work as we identify with the soul in all and apply our efforts to be in accordance with the divine will. We now send forth the results of our efforts, thoughts, love, and the energy of our group work to help our Earth. In all its diversity and ultimate unity through its transformational journey into the sacred. We do this through focused direction of energy from our group ajna, sending the light out to higher beings, to other spiritual groups, to the soul of humanity, and to all sentient beings as we assist the forces of light. And to seal and complete our work together today, let us sound the great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. May light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May Christ descend on earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills. The purpose that the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call humanity, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Oh.